Hey, NFL fans, Harrison Graham here. If there's any Chiefs fans out there, we have a Kansas City Chiefs-only YouTube channel. The link's right there, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. We have coverage of the Kansas City Chiefs all year long, so I urge you to subscribe. Plus, you can watch our Chiefs video of the week starting right now.
Coming up in a few minutes, we'll get into Leonard Fournette trade rumors, but let's start with the latest surrounding defensive tackle Chris Jones. Brett Veach had his NFL draft press conference at the end of last week, and Chris Jones was a topic of discussion. He said that they want to keep Jones not only for this year, but for the long term as well. Nothing too new on that front. We all know that. Both sides want to agree on a contract extension, but there's this thing called the salary cap that makes things challenging. Obviously, he has been franchise tagged. The deadline to get a long-term deal for this season is July 15th. Otherwise, he would play under the tag in 2020. Here's a bigger quote from General Manager Brett Veach saying, "We know how talented Chris is, and I think the franchise tag speaks for it, and we also have a lot of time." I mean, the deadline to get a deal done is July 15th. So there's a lot of time to continue the dialogue and to work on something with Chris. We certainly are going to work to maintain him, not just for next year, but for the future. That is Brett Veach on Chris Jones. So again, there's nothing new on this development other than both sides want to get a deal done. We already knew that. Brett Veach has just confirmed that. And there's no rush to necessarily do that because they have until July 15th. Why not see how the NFL draft goes, see where, what positions you're set at in that front, and then continue to have that dialogue and discussion with Chris Jones and his agent. I think a big problem is how much is it going to cost? Over under $20 million. How much would you pay for Chris Jones per season? Type O for over 20 million or type U for under 20 million. I think that 19-20 million is about the range he's going to get. He's going to want a Frank Clark type of contract. So type O for over or type U for under. Obviously, he is worth a big contract. Outside of Aaron Donald, he is the best interior pass rusher in the NFL. Last 2 seasons, 24.5 sacks, had 6.5 back in 2017 as well. So he's been really solid the past 3 seasons for the Kansas City Chiefs. He is due for a payday. He is deserving of a major contract extension, and he's worth more than his $16 million he's going to get this year if he plays under the franchise tag. So I certainly think there's a possibility he will hold out if the Chiefs don't sign him to a long-term extension. You look at this defensive line, it has the potential to be really good. We know Chris Jones and Frank Clark, that's kind of your 1-2 punch there. Derek Nottie, good run stuffer there. Obviously, you brought back Mike Cannell. Alex Okafor's a good piece as well. Kalen Saunders, Tano Passanio. You got good depth on this defensive line, but if you lose Chris Jones, if you don't have him for the long term, obviously that's going to be a need moving forward at that defensive tackle spot. He's a really good 3 technique. DT played really well in this scheme last season. I'm excited to see what he can do under a full, healthy 16-game season since he was banged up in 2019. I want you guys to type me if you are ready for the NFL draft. It's draft week, just 4 days away. So go ahead, spam me in the comment section. Expect to see hundreds of them in there. And if you are ready and if you want to watch NFL draft coverage, make sure you subscribe to Chat Sports. You see the link below, youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. If you're watching this on our Chiefs-only YouTube channel, make sure you're subscribed over there as well. Mitch, Tom, and I will have you covered for all 7 rounds of the NFL draft. So make sure you're subscribed to Chat Sports and go ahead and turn on your notifications as well so you don't ever miss a video on Chat Sports or on our Chiefs channel. Make sure you enable all notifications today. Let's keep today's show going here. Let's talk about a Leonard Fournette trade rumor that's going around. Obviously, this isn't Chiefs-centric, but Mike Florio made it Chiefs-centric as he basically said that the Chiefs could and should trade for the Jaguars running back. I have a lot of thoughts on this. My first thought is Leonard Fournette's a good running back. I'm not disputing that. He's a good runner. The problem is he does not fit what the Chiefs want to do whatsoever. He is a between-the-tackles physical running back that's not great as a receiver. Yeah, he caught 76 passes last year, but that is not his game. He was drafted in the same draft as Patrick Mahomes. Shout out Jacksonville for taking him over Mahomes in that draft. the numbers look nice, but you can't, use him on wheel routes and things like that. Yeah, he got 76 passes last year, but those were all dump downs for Gardner Minshew. You can't use him the way you can utilize a Damian Williams or a DeAndre Washington out of this backfield, or even a Darwin Thompson. He is a physical between the tackles runner, and that's not really the Chiefs' game. Florio kept going on about, if the Chiefs want to create real balance, they'll pick up Leonard Fournette. They don't want to run the ball 50% of the time. The Chiefs are going to throw it 65% of the time, and they're more than comfortable handing the ball off to Damian Williams, DeAndre Washington, and the other backs they have. Would Fournette be the best running back on the roster? Yes, but I just don't think he is an ideal fit for this system. It's the same thing I said about Derrick Henry a couple of months ago. It's a stylistic mismatch. It doesn't make sense. But what do you guys think? Should Kansas City trade for Leonard Fournette? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Don't think it's a fit. I think other teams make more sense. So I am typing my N for no. I'm typing my Y for yes. For Chiefs draft paths, I mean, come on. We got them in tons of different styles, and they actually look pretty good this year. NFL draft paths in the past, wasn't a big fan of them, but I like them this year. They look good. All teams are releasing this year for the most part. And the Kansas City Chiefs ones, they are a good look. You got the Chiefs Kingdom on the side of the hat there. You got flat bills, curved bills, snapbacks, fitted hats, whatever you want. Go to chatsports.com/Chiefs draft. Make sure you're representing the Kansas City Chiefs when the draft gets going this Thursday night. Go ahead and get yourself a draft hat today. Look at the Chiefs' backfield here. Yeah, look, nothing's going to jump off the page here, but you got Damian Williams. You picked up DeAndre Washington, who's a good receiving back. Darwin Thompson's a nice young player. Darrell Williams is on the roster as well. The Chiefs' running back by committee approach is more than serviceable. Like, sure, they could upgrade in that department. Maybe they'll draft a running back, which we'll get into a rumor on that here in just a little bit. But I just don't think Leonard Fournette makes a ton of sense for this offensive system. He's a guy that's going to give you 4 yards of carry and have some injury problems. Like, that is who Leonard Fournette is. I don't love his game. He's not a modern fit running back. I just, sure, his numbers are going to look better than Damian Williams, but Williams' yards per carry is higher. His yards per catch is higher. And we saw how effective he was in the playoffs for the second year in a row. And he had 7 total touchdowns, so Leonard Fournette's 3. Like, I just don't think it's worth investing in a running back like Leonard Fournette. I don't think the Chiefs will ever invest a lot of money at the running back position under the current regime led by Patrick Mahomes. Like, they're going to throw the ball a ton, and they want running backs who can rotate in and out and can run and catch the ball. Fournette's not much of a receiver. That is not his game. I put together this trade proposal for Darrell Williams and a third-round pick. That could possibly get it done. But again, why? Like, I don't want to give up a third-round pick for Leonard Fournette. The Jags would probably take it, but I don't think the Chiefs would take it. What do you guys think? Who would win this trade? Type K for Kansas City, type J for Jacksonville. The trade package, I think, is pretty on par with what it would cost. But just one more time, I do not think he fits what the Kansas City Chiefs want to do long-term. I do not want this trade, but go ahead and cast your votes down below. I wouldn't hate this idea as much, although I wouldn't want to do it in round 1. Drafting J.K. Dobbins out of Ohio State, more of a 3-down back in terms of the sense that he is a good receiver out of the backfield. Tons of mock drafts, as you guys know, have mocked Kansas City taking a running back in round 1. DeAndre Swift has been the popular name recently, but I've seen Dobbins as well, as this one is continuing to pop up. The Chiefs met with him recently. I don't think Kansas City would draft Dobbins in round 1. I think he's a guy that, you trade back from 32 and maybe you take him in the middle of the second round. I'd be okay with that. I don't want to spend my top pick on a running back because there's bigger needs for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I just don't think any running back is worth taking in the first round with the way the Chiefs play on offense. Here are some of the top running backs in this year's class. DeAndre Swift, I think, would fit the best on this team because I think he's the most dynamic. But J.K. Dobbins is close. Jonathan Taylor's a good player. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cam Akers, those are your top 5 in this year's class. There's some good value there guys in the second, maybe even in the third round. But again, I just don't know if a first-round pick is worth it. If you could pick out of these 5, which running back would you draft? Type A for Swift, type B for Dobbins, type C for Jonathan Taylor, type D for Edwards-Helaire, and then type F for Cam Akers. These are my top 5 guys in this year's class. So go ahead and cast your votes. A, B, C, D, or F. Which running back would you like to see the Chiefs draft more than anyone else? As far as Dobbins goes, incredibly productive during his career at Ohio State. If he would have gone back for his senior season, he would have probably gone over 6,000 rushing yards in 4 years. Like, he was that good. 38 touchdowns, really, really good player. One of the most decorated players in Ohio State history. Good receiver as well. Not as dynamic as a DeAndre Swift, but more than capable. Almost 10 yards a catch there, over 645 yards. And he got better as his career went on. Early on, like his freshman year, not a great receiving back. But by his junior season, he was really, really good in that regard. So obviously spent a lot of time on running back on today's show. What is the Chiefs' biggest draft need? Any position. What is the biggest draft need heading into Thursday night when the NFL draft gets going? Go ahead, let me know down in the comments section. Because my top 5 needs for the Chiefs hadn't changed. Cornerback, linebacker, those are the top 2. Can go either way there. I think you need to get one of those positions in the first round if you keep your first round pick. Interior offensive line, edge rusher, receiver. I would put running back as my number 6 need for the Chiefs. Those are all secondary needs, though. I think cornerback and linebacker needs to be the focus for this year's draft.